Hello and good day everyone. I am Jericho and together with Erica to discuss to you the next chapter of our subject. Before we proceed, I have prepared a simple activity to foresee key terms for the entire discussion. Let's begin. It is named Dumetra and I know most of you have rough idea upon how it is going to be played. You are intended to substitute each number presented on the screen with their corresponding English alphabet referring to their chronological order. Very easy, right? Let's proceed. For our first item, great, that's curriculum. Next one. Exactly, that is system. So how about this? Perfect, that's evaluation. So how about this one? Aha, that is improvements. This is a little bit easier. Exactly, that is learning. So for the last item, you've got it right, that is outcome. And I believe that this activity brings you the whole idea of our lesson for today. Yes, we will be discussing all about the curriculum evaluation and improvement that falls under the learning packet 3 within module 3. Let's move forward. Let me present to you our first destination. We will first explore the curriculum evaluation and I believe that reading on what is presented on the screen, you already have the ideas of how this lesson will flow. Initially, the word evaluation depicts a wide spectrum of classification that varies with the interest and the subject being evaluated. For this subject, we will be focusing on curriculum evaluation that is definitely anchored in educational institution. Let's begin. Curriculum evaluation by definition is a process by which we tend to attempt to gauge or measure the value and effectiveness of different educational activities. Of course, students but not only students are given with emphasis here. On evaluating curriculum, we tend to of course provide judgments through observing by measuring it and shall provide qualitative and quantitative value. Mentioned earlier, evaluation has many phases that define it. It may come in variety of aspects. As such, it may come in different activities especially during contests and alike. So going back to our lesson, here in field of education, there exist two different forms of evaluation. These two are evaluation of learning outcome or ELO and evaluation of learning system or ELS. Let us first focus on the first one. Gazing these entities on your screen brings you the concepts that are familiar with you. Let's dive in ELO or the evaluation of learning outcome. Evaluation is the systematic process of what? Of determining the extent to which objectives are identified and shall be achieved. It tries to say that the process of evaluation is based on the relationship between the objectives of the content and its actual outcome. Please lend me your attention for the following figure. Presented on your screen is how the process of evaluation occurs. Seen inside the boxes are the learner, the learning environment, and the content being related to the learning experience and finally, with the learning outcome. Obviously, the example is respective to science subjects since we don't discuss the structure of animal cell in our major. Kidding aside, let's analyze this given example. Initially, the objective is the goal or the aim of the study being discussed. They are also the element by which learning outcome should be referred to and is expected to be attained. Mentioned above, it goes beyond the knowledge of the specific course content. Referring to the figure, we can see that listed under the learning outcome is recognizing different part of animal cell as well as draws a neat sketch of animal cell. These two are directly related to the objective presented in the lesson. Going back to what is mentioned, these two goes beyond the knowledge of the specific content since they try to make something more of what is discussed. Secondly, you can realize the varying degrees of dependence that the outcome which in particular recognizes and draw has on the course content. The learning outcome recognizes is a specific outcome of major instructional objective knowledge. Bear on your mind that this learning outcome may fall into a variety of activities and that may bring an evidence of learners' learning. As always mentioned, it shall possess a good amount of relevance to the objective. Lastly, based on the result of the learning outcome, decision may proceed into this stage. If it is attained or achieved, then it's good to go, since the assurance of its effectiveness is vividly seen. On the other hand, if not, then the teacher or the facilitator shall conduct a review in which segment of the discussion or the intended learning outcome is needed to be scrutinized. For this example, when it happened that learning outcome is not met, the facilitator may change the learning experience of the discussion. It may happen that it is an oral discussion that has been conducted and maybe students disliked it. The facilitator shall make a move to provide transformative way of discussion, like for instance if possible, may use electron microscope for the students to see the animal cell for themselves. You may think of many ways to discuss the lesson and if it suits, then it's accepted. Hence, learning outcome may also come in many ways. Moving forward, illustrated in your screen are the procedures or steps in evaluation of learning outcome. It always mentioned that the object is the center of the attraction in any situation here in the field. After establishing it, you as a teacher are expected to think of ways of how the lesson will be discussed effectively. Choosing or developing accurate evaluation tool or technique is a must. Of course, the tool is to be used shall reflect the learning among students. After that, the result of the learning outcome will be gathered and make a comparison with the objectives. Next step is to interpret result just like how research work and make a decision. If you are listening actively, I have mentioned about the treatment needed when the objectives are attained or not, referring to the performance of the intended outcome. Finally, feedback is also an essential step in process. This provides voices among the students that may contribute to the betterment of the program. Grasp this. Here, ELO is concerned with the systematic process of determining the extent to which the instructional objectives are achieved, and also with the provision of feedback to the learners. Let's jump into the second type of evaluation. Precisely, we will now focus on the evaluation of learning system or the ELS. For an appetizer, mentioned more than twice that evaluation is a systematic process of collecting and analyzing data for decision making. Descriptive and judgmental information about the worth and the merit of the programmer's goal, design, implementation, and impact in order to make informed decision. It is essential to be judgmental and not biased simply because we are tend to be straightforward of the things that needs to be treated. This is also known as decision-oriented evaluation. Listed here are the steps or process of ELS. It is undeniable that survey assessment is a tool used here. Defining the goal or the objective of the program is always present in any situation once again. Next step is to identify the entities involved for the program and shall develop material, activities, and administrative arrangement followed by referring to the accurate tool to be used. Lastly, the facilitator shall collect information that are related to the program. I believe that in our experiences in school during face-to-face program, we already encountered the ELS. If you can still remember, in our case, Ma'am Charis, who is the secretary of our dean, disseminate evaluation form every end of the semester. More of that, every program conducted, such as those programs facilitated by our guidance office, the campus officers, or even in the College of Education, ensures to provide evaluation assessment too. This helps a lot for them to be informed whether their program went perfect and or which part needs to be improved. Moving forward, let us now identify the difference between ELO and ELS. Somehow, they are quite related toward each other, but if we dig deeper, both of them possesses different purpose. It is because of the issue of making decision varies with accordance to the different situation by different persons involved in the system. Moreover, ELO is a part of daily affairs of students and teachers focusing with the result of the learning outcome attained. We encounter this evaluation most of the time. On the other hand, ELS is the concern of respective entities responsible for revising and replacing educational programs. Mainly, they are the educational planners, administrator, the researchers. It is observed but not only on regular basis. As mentioned from the earlier example in our program, they conduct this evaluation at every end of the semester. Pick this up. Evaluation is essentially a process of finding the value of a program, the quality of its process, and or the quantum and quality of its product. I'm hoping that you have learned a lot from the two type of evaluation discussed, but this is not the end of this discussion yet. Let me tell you that the value of any program, including educational program, lies in the realization of its goals and objectives. Without being said, here are the things that evaluation shall be. First is objective based, since I repeatedly telling you that the anything and everything in education shall be based on the objectives and the goal and or the goal of the program. It shall be done mainly in terms of the desired process and the expected outcomes. It also should be comprehensive in that it covers the various kind of objectives and levels of outcome, defined as specifically as possible. And it shall be continuous so that the process being made might be sensed and the achievements or the outcome assessed all through the ongoing program. As evaluation is both qualitative and quantitative, it may be formative or during the process of development or summative at the end of the total program or each phase. The purpose of educational evaluation, therefore, is to improve on what it has already been available. In other words, it has the dual role of guidance and assessment. In fact, the latter should be instrumental to the former. Let us now jump into the student evaluation. It is said that the success of otherwise of an educational program can be adjudged in terms of the achievements of the students, and I agree with that. It is the reality of life and one of the main reasons why different programs from various schools and universities are able to pass accreditation. In addition to that, student evaluation provides students capabilities to hone and bring the most out of what they've got. Written products of different kinds like assessment or assignment response, term papers, project reports, etc. also provide evidence of specific learning capabilities and achievements. Apart from essay and the like, objective type items and questions of different kinds, multiple choice or correct or best answer, multiple response, multifaceted or matching, true or false, completion or even simple recall item, would also serve the purpose of wide coverage or representation, high specificity, and extreme objectivity. Ever since we began to study, evaluation already took its place. The purpose was mentioned earlier. As we have said, evaluation in education should cover not only student evaluation or evaluation of learning, development, and achievement, but also the assessment of different aspects of the curriculum as it is planned or developed and implemented. On very many occasions, you must have come across this term. In its simplest form, it refers to a process of evaluating the curriculum components, objectives, the materials, the methods, and evaluation process for the student assessment in order to judge as to whether or not the curriculum caters the needs of the target group or the set of educational purposes for which it is intended. In the process of scrutinizing each of the constituents of the curriculum, we can see how a lapse in one of them affects and influences the others. Therefore, it is difficult to evaluate each of the curriculum. Each has to be evaluated in conjunction with the rest, as they are all interdependent. Let us consider the figure on your screen. It is vividly seen how each element is dependent towards each other, hence the term interdependent. The purpose of curriculum evaluation is first to get feedback about the given curriculum and to use the feedback for the purposes of improving the curriculum. I have already mentioned that it is indeed important to conduct and or participate with evaluation in terms of giving feedback. The facilitator or any responsible entities will be using this feedback to evaluate and is expected to provide accurate decision making for further improvements. Though we are aware of the importance of curriculum evaluation, we carry it out very rarely. One of the many reasons for this indifference, the two major ones are, first, many have come to regard evaluation as non-productive behavior because, more often than not, evaluation results when carried out are ignored, and second, the resistance to accept a new pattern despite of its potential. Both of them being manifestation of social attitudes, it takes time to break these biases and therefore it is essential for us to come to grips with the process involved in the curriculum evaluation. Ornstein and Hankins of 1986 are of the view that the disillusionment with evaluation emerges from the misunderstanding about what it can and cannot do for the society or institution. Evaluation plays a key role in education. It helps to know the efficacy in different educational programs. Though evaluation, defects and deficiencies can be identified and appropriate plans of action can be formulated. However, we may have to identify a number of specific purposes and the related functions of evaluation to make it meaningful. We have given below the most common purposes for which evaluation is used within different educational systems. First is prediction. This is the purposes served when evaluation helps us to discover potential abilities and aptitudes among the student. Evaluation results are used as an important factor for selection of the employment and for the entry to higher education. In technical and commercial training, success at one level opens the possibility of training at a higher level. In all the above cases, evaluation is used to predict future potential and it helps to assess the future performance of the student to select the right electives. Next is diagnostic. The purpose of evaluation is to help us identify the learning difficulties experienced by individuals or groups. In classroom situation, teachers consistently attempt to identify the weakness or the lapses in learning. In distance education, the students are not physically present in the educational situation and the study material have been planned and carried out in advance. The collective initial evaluation during the planning and carrying out the course or at its beginning is to set a diagnostic evaluation to find out the possible difficulties in the future. This might help us in producing suitable material for a given group of learners. Next is selection. This will be the purpose of evaluation when it helps us to select suitable person for a course or career. The entrance tests to different courses are devised with a purpose in this view. For grading, this purpose is served when evaluation helps us to rank the learners of a given group. Usually, the term and examination of a course serves this purpose. Next is guidance. This is the purpose of evaluation when it assists a person in making the decision about courses and careers. The purpose of guidance is served when evaluation enables a learner to know his or her pace of learning or lapses made while learning. The self-assessment exercises in distance education material are meant to be served this purpose. Next is decision making. Evaluation of a course program helps in making decisions about the worth of the course or program. The result of the program evaluation are used to continue or discontinue a course program. Last but not least is feedback. Evaluation result provides feedback to students and educational programs in order to bring about an improvement in the system.